We're all good? All right, let's move on. A new blended learning of connectivism and, with the next slide, are we all familiar with connectivism? Have we heard of the term? It's essentially a constructivist philosophy that takes into account the fact of the internet and the abundance of information. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't heard of it, by George Siemens. He wrote this over 10 years ago, but it's valid today. Knowledge is abundant. There's no longer going to the local library and getting the World Book off the shelves or the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's about knowing where the information, not necessarily knowing how and knowing what. And it's an acknowledgement in the constructivist vein that real life learning is messy and complex and definitely non-linear. And we have to evaluate information quickly. So in the same respect with the referencing guides, I like to try and create useful information patterns. They know where to go to get the information. Whether that's some sort of admin for the university for them to move on to when they move on to tertiary study, or where the guides are and so forth. Connecting the dots. I mean, we all do it. I mean, I have my favourite cake shops where I know where to go. This supermarket has what I want, but not at this supermarket. We do it in our day-to-day lives. And in the whole Heutagogy principle of choosing what to learn, and in the classroom, Andragogy and Heutagogy, they have to decide what they should do. Decision making in itself is a learning process. So the diagram at the bottom, I think, encapsulates it rather well. Instructivism or behaviourism is the more traditional way of teaching. Sage on the stage and the students watching. Constructivism takes into account that the learner learns or acquires knowledge through experience and reflection, and they do overlap like Venn diagrams, but connectivism definitely encapsulates both. Now the fact of the matter is that at university they will be sitting in front of screens and doing research, and the majority of the information they're going to get are online journal articles. So it's not a good thing, we all live sedentary lives. So I recently listened to an audio book called Spark by a Harvard academic by the name of John Ratey, and I think it's common sense really. We know that movement and exercise gets the blood flowing, gets us thinking, and we're more alert. And as the blurb says at the bottom, supercharge your mental circuits to beat stress, sharpen your thinking, lift your mood, boost your memory, and much, much more. He gives countless examples of, wayward students in high schools across America who are not performing. The gym coach comes in, gets them running laps in the morning, doing various exercises. They're calmer, they're more focused, and they achieve better results. Have we all heard the catchphrase, sitting is the new smoking? It's a show of hands, have we heard that one? I mean, we all live in an age where we're sitting down a lot. Now, essentially, we're all cavemen and cave women. We haven't really, our physical body hasn't changed 10,000, 20,000 years, but we've changed our habits. So, as a caveman or a cave woman, on average, they would walk 15 kilometres a day. And now we're sitting for up to 8 hours in a seat. If you're a teacher, you're quite lucky. You get to stand up, pace, walk to the whiteboard. You have a lot more activity than many of your students. So I noticed that a lot of the students, they weren't focused and stuff, so I started to get them moving, and I started to use various environments that I had access to. So it's basically a counterbalance between very sedentary and getting them moving. The movement should be consistent through the day. Even just the standing isn't perfect. Many of you, does anyone here have a standing desk at work? So we've got 1, 2, so we know what they're about. I'd actually say that even just standing can be just as bad as sitting. So I think the next stage for the people with standing desks is you're supposed to get a slow-moving, what do you call them, the treadmill to do your work. I think they work out as, you put it at about 4 kilometres an hour, that will keep you moving. It'll probably be all standard in the future. So I'm going to offer a few of my takeaways and how I've combined connectivism with movement and environment. So looking at connectivism first, and this is the flipped classroom. Straight away, get them Googling keywords instead of me standing up there and explaining the difference between active and passive. We've got access to the computers in the classroom. Start Googling. What's important or what's beneficial about this is often, as many of you will know, students tend to come in late at all kinds of times. So at least I get the students started thinking about it, or if I've created a list of websites, I get them to rank them. So that they start once again creating these useful information patterns. And what I found is that often, the websites that the East Asians, maybe the Chinese, Mongolians, Vietnamese, they have different ones to the West Asians, the subcontinent Indians and Nepalese and stuff. And so they might be finding websites that work for their own nationalities or ethnic groups. But anyway, it's about thinking that the information is out there, and they can remember where it is if they need to learn. I mean, this is all supplemented with textbook work and handouts from myself in the initial stages, but in the later stages, they've learned that they can find the information themselves. At the moment, I'm just emailing most of the stuff. Our university hasn't integrated the English department with the Moodle learning management system. Hopefully that will come soon. There is a sort of a stopgap measure between those two, which is creating a wiki page, but email has been working fine with attachments. So, swap shop time. With the people at your table, how do you connectivise your students? Please begin. Yeah, no obligation. I think it's very valid. Actually, just one thing that I didn't mention, reverse engineering. So often I will give them, I give the answers to them. I'm not holding back the answers from them. You can see the student in the corner. She's listening to the audio and she's reading along with the transcript. So she has the option to use the transcript and then not use the transcript, or she can turn that around and not use the transcript and then use the transcript. I just get them to twist it around how it suits them best. Movement and environment. So I often move the desks and create a lap in the classroom and have a walking meeting. So I'm part of this walk with them, and we're just talking. So I might be throwing out a version of the active, and then asking one of the students to give me the passive, or what are the 3 parts. I have a basic essay structure. What are the 3 parts of an academic essay? I talk about the general statement, the thesis statement, and the preview. And then there's other options as well, definitions and background, but as a general rule. Body paragraphs, conclusions, things like that. And they're walking and they're talking. So it gets them up on their feet and they're moving. We often do stretches. So everyone stands up. How long have we been talking for now? 30 minutes. I said, I think everyone's been sitting down for too long, so I want everyone to stand up. If you really don't want to, if you're a bit hungover, you don't have to, you have that option. There we go, look, everyone just started straight away. Said yes, everyone reach form starts. Everyone up on their tippy toes. Great word, tippy toes. Alright, we do, so a couple of things I do, we just do stretches, everyone's done stretches, everyone's gone to the gym, we know all this stuff. I've got terrible flexibility. Can anyone touch, connect their hands? I mean, this is about as far as I can go with touching my toes. The limber students like to show me up. I've got a couple of signature moves, and I'm willing this is Creative Commons license, you can use these. Australia is known for swimming, so there's just a little bit of swimming, make sure you've got a bit of space, a little bit of freestyle. That's good, that's good. Maybe a little bit of breaststroke. Make sure you bend those knees. Breathing right.
Photo down.
A little bit of backstroke. You can truncate that maybe if you just want to do that. Alright. And dolphin. I just thought it was universal. I thought everyone called it butterfly. But some countries call it dolphin. Some interesting stuff. A little bit of boxing. Everyone's been to boxing class. Make sure you've got your guard up. Alright, jab, 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 guard, cross. Jab, 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 guard, cross. Jab, 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 cross, upcut. Upcut. And dance moves. Because of the large Indian population. Well, funny enough, I go, alright, let's do some yoga. We've got all the Indian students, and none of them know yoga. It's always a Chinese student or a Vietnamese student that comes up and does some yoga moves. But we do like to do a little bit of Bollywood. So one of the standard moves is hand here, and a bit of just flip out that hip. Maybe a little bit of, I don't know if you've seen any Bollywood movies, a little bit of, the guy showing some love to the girl. He sort of gives his arm, has this wonderful happy face. There's this lotus move that I often see. You get there. Moving on. Okay. Previous office job that I had, it was recommended that you get up out of your seat every half an hour. These are pretty much becoming standard guidelines in most organisations. Do you do this at home? Who sits at home for 2 hours in a chair? Or do people get up every 20 minutes? I'll just make a cup of tea. I'll just do the washing up. Maybe I'll just put that load of washing on. Or maybe I'll just pop down to the supermarket and grab a few things. I mean, in real life, we don't sit down for long periods of time. And often we do. We come back and forth. We might do some work and then check our emails and Facebook. We're a little bit more disciplined than most of our students, but it's the way that most people work. Would you agree? Yeah. All right, and I like to use the local environment. So I have the classroom, and I might move the chairs, create a lab. We do the walking meeting, or hands on the shoulder. We do a train, and every now and then I just get them to stop, and I say, all right, just give a little karate chop massage to the person in front of you. They love it. They're laughing. They're having fun. I use the level. So first, the smallest level is the classroom. Then I use the actual floor or the level, and one of my favourite ones is, okay, walk up to the end of the floor and tell the fire extinguisher that you love it. And they're like, what? What? I don't understand. I say, well, all right, if you can't say that I love you, then at least blow the fire extinguisher a kiss. So off they go, they do it, they're all coming back giggling and refreshed, and you know, after this, they sit down and they start working. And then this is sort of breaking a circuit, getting them creative. I actually had a picture of peanut butter on this slide that I took off because I didn't want it to be too busy, and I couldn't find the reference of it, but I think it was Crick and Watson, two scientists who actually made or created life in the laboratory. So they had some sort of box, they threw in some amino acids and other scientific stuff and put electricity through it and created life. But you know, they were stuck. And I remember they were talking about one of them, Crick or Watson, was at the supermarket looking at the peanut butter on the shelf, and all of a sudden it came. So we probably all had those moments where, you know, when we're relaxed or distracted, then all of a sudden the solution to our problem has come. And this is the same idea of fire extinguisher love. I also have 11 levels extravaganza. I'm in a close to town hall, basically an 11-storey office block. The university has various floors. There's a chiropractic floor and all different, you know, there's nooks and crannies, there's signs and things for them to get information, so they travel up and down, finding that information. Another one that I do is my Harbourside Adventure. We're very close to Darling Harbour, so we walk across the bridge. There's a shopping centre called Harbourside, and they walk through, they got to take note of how many escalators, you know, how much are the dim sims at this restaurant, you know, how much is a bottle of whiskey in the liquor store, and so they're skimming and scanning, going all over the place and finding information. So, swap shop time. How do you use your local environments? Please begin.